Welcome back to The Inspired Entrepreneur with Heather Hope. Hey there, good morning, everyone. Let me make sure that volume is up. Okay, perfect. Welcome back. Happy. What day is today? Tuesday. It's Monday for me. I'm recording this yesterday for you guys. Okay, so we had a good weekend, didn't we? I think most of us had a good weekend. Like a really good, big sigh of relief. From some good tears, too. Okay, so today is Tuesday, November 10th. And to be perfectly honest, I am going to go meditate and do all my morning stuff after this podcast. So I just can't. I felt like the urge to do this right now. I'm only going to do today's podcast right now and probably just play it by ear the rest of the week because I've got some other things. And this morning I woke up thinking, every so often I need to prioritize all the things that I'm doing because I will get kind of tunnel visioned on some projects. And then I'll come up for air and I'm like, oh, there's these other things that I really need to get done too that are probably more important, like really more important. And I kind of do that sometimes. And let me know if that's something that you do or that you need to do or you feel like you need to do, because I'll get focused on stuff that really, in the grand scheme of all the projects I have going on, I don't think that they're like a super big deal. Now, I did get my book, some of the formatting done, like the main format. I think all the formatting is done, which is a big deal. Right now, my next thing is to get the cover done. And the cover has been designed. I just have to put it in the parameters. I really love doing everything myself. So I hope the volume is up because I feel like it's not super loud in my ears. Okay. I'm one of those people. I really like doing everything myself. Not except for cleaning my house. That was my complaint this morning. So anyway, I like it because most of the time I'll get it done. By the time I even find somebody to hire to do something for me, I could have gotten it done myself. Who can relate? Let me know if you can relate to that. Because it takes me a long time to choose somebody, typically, because I get a bit concerned because I have hired people in the past that I didn't really care for. They just didn't get it or they didn't do a good job. So, that's how you end up learning a lot or knowing a lot. You end up doing everything yourself. Let me know if you're one of those people. So there's a lot of things I know how to do just because I didn't really trust somebody else to do a good job on it. It's not insane. It just seems insane to me. But in the long run, it's like, yeah, I'm glad I know some of these things. So, okay, let's jump into today's message. But I am excited. My goal is still to get this book released this month, the next book for next month. In between getting my house ready for sale, putting it on the market, and starting my new business. Now, today's message might bring up my new business because this is exactly what happened. So let's jump into it. November 10th, 2020. Stay in the vision of what you want. Focus on the aspects of what you love. The more you do, the more you get closer and closer to what you want. You're a magnet. Close the gap between where you are to where you want to be by focusing on the vision of the life you want to create. Okay, a lot of things came through my mind while reading that. Okay, first of all, I went down to yesterday for me was Sunday. I took a drive. I've been wanting to do this because in my morning routine, my morning stuff, meditation, visualization, writing, all that stuff, we're moving to Paradise Valley. And so I manifested a free house in Paradise Valley the last time I was doing my work a couple of years ago. What was it? A couple of years ago, right after I found Abraham, I really started applying the stuff. And I wanted to move. I was in Phoenix. I was in Northeast Phoenix, where I grew up. And I'm like, I'm moving to Paradise Valley. If you don't know, it's like 5 miles down the road, but it's like the most nicest, affluent town slash neighborhood of all of Arizona, I'm going to say. Like starting home prices are have typically across the board always started at 1 million. So that's where that's where we're moving to. Now I manifested a place to live there last time I did this. So my whole family grew up there. Not my whole family. My father's side of the family grew up there, had houses there. My step grandmother still lives there. So it's just feels it's always been a place I've wanted to live for most of my life. I've always driven through it. I had to drive through it on my way to college when I was, 20, all of that. So it's just a place I love. I resonate with it. It's right next to Scottsdale. It's more affluent than Scottsdale, but totally different. It's a complete residential town. There's no businesses in there, maybe just a couple, some resorts. Country clubs, that sort of thing, but there's no like retail, there's no restaurants. It's all on the outskirts, which is right next door to Scottsdale. But anyway, enough of that. I just really love it. And it has a mountain called Camelback Mountain. It looks like a camel. It's really distinguishable and beautiful. And I just feel, I've always felt like this was home. And so there we are. So I drove down there. We got married there too. I drove to the park in the middle, the heart of Paradise Valley yesterday. And I went to the park where we got married. And it was just so peaceful. The whole place is so peaceful. There's just nothing huge going on. Just beautiful homes. I love real estate so much. So, but on my way there, I have to drive through the desert for like 30 miles, like pure desert, mountains, dirt, cactus, the whole 9 yards. I have to do that to drive to Phoenix from where I live. And so as I'm driving on this road, this whatever it's called, it's like an interstate. Well, it's not interstate. It's a 2-lane highway, but it's in the middle of the road. Anyway, it's a 2-lane street down this 30. It's 30 miles. I guess it's a metaphor of how you manifest. And I thought about it this morning when I woke up, of how when you're driving, and Abraham talks about this too, of driving from Phoenix to San Diego, and where you have to keep looking forward to get where you want to go. Like, makes perfect sense in driving, right? It's the same exact for life. If you want to go somewhere, you have to keep looking in that direction. You have to put your focus, your attention. That's just how it all works. So I love taking metaphor. I love creating metaphors of like driving is such a like concrete thing, right? You get in your car, you drive towards where you're going. Like, you know where you're going. You have to go in that direction. You have to, right? Or else you're never, ever, ever, ever going to get there. Same exact thing with everything else in life. If you want to get somewhere else in your life, you have to focus in that direction, which means you have to focus on the thoughts that take you there. Instead of sitting there and being like, oh, gosh, my childhood, well, especially don't go to a therapist and talk about like the failures of your life, of like, my life is such a failure. And these are all the reasons why I can't succeed in life because of all the things that happened in the past 40 years. That's going the other direction. That's literally going the other direction. You are not going forward to what you want ever if you keep focusing on your past. That's exactly the same thing. If I was trying to get to Phoenix yesterday, I would not be heading west, because Phoenix from me is east. I have to head east to find Phoenix. If I was going to San Diego or LA, I would head west. Does that make sense? It's exactly the same with everything. Just because it's actually in your car driving to, it's the same exact thing. Like, I want to go to Phoenix, I want to go to Paradise Valley, I want to go to Scottsdale, I have to head that direction. If I want to go to LA, I go the other direction. If I want to go to Vegas, I go north. If I want to go to Mexico, I head south. That's how you go. So if I want to have a relationship, if if I want to have, because this was something that popped in my mind when I was reading this, of where was it? Let's read it again because the two things came up, three things really, but stay in the vision of what you want, focus on the aspects of what you love. The more you do, the more you do, the more you get closer and closer to what you want. You're a magnet. Close the gap between where you are to where you want to be by focusing on the vision of the life you want to create. So, how do you manifest? I wrote this, somebody wrote a comment the other day, a couple days ago, of saying that they were single. And I told her exactly what I did. I wrote it in the comment section. Exactly what I did. I got happy. I cut off everybody else because, okay, so back then, when I was single again after my divorce, I was talking to several people, well, several guys, men at the time, and I was seeing some of them. I was in conversation with some of them. I was on and off dating a couple of them. I was entertaining several of them. You know what I mean? Like the dating, like it when you're dating and not like finding anyone serious, you end up, or I'm gonna put me. I ended up seeing several people. Like you just have it, like in your text messages, you have. I had several people that I was talking to, and just getting to know some of them, and they were all in different categories. You know, like a couple people, it was like I liked them, but they were just kind of on and off. They were terribly serious, or there was something about it, or you know what I mean? They weren't perfect. They weren't, back then it was just kind of like trying to scope them out. Some of the times I'm just having fun. Nothing's really serious. Most of that time, nothing really was serious. I was just having a really good time. I was meeting some really great men. I was having some really amazing dates and going with it. I wasn't out there like looking for my next husband. That's the last thing I really wanted, was to get married again for quite some time. So I was kind of playing the field, I guess. And so, but after time, especially after, several, there was a few guys that I really had a lot of feelings for. Like really, like you could say I was in love with them because I had known them for a while. So, but they were not serious, and they, had their issues, and they just weren't right. It wasn't working. So I got to the point where I was super frustrated with the whole process. I'm like, it was just crazy. And this is before I learned about Abraham. So now I look back, I'm like, I did so many things that I shouldn't have done. Like, having that desperate energy of wanting somebody to text me back, and they never text me back. So I created this whole story of how they don't text me during the week and da da da. That's really what they do for the most part. You know what I mean? Like certain people. Anyway, so I created all these stories, had this like desperate energy of just wanting somebody to text me back. Let me know if you feel that way ever. Because it's like when you want to talk to somebody, it's like cool, right? You want to talk to them. Like normal people, I feel. There was just one person that had known for many years that I thought we were going to date and be together. And he literally doesn't really talk to anybody during the week. He's very focused on his work. He, has a child, that sort of thing. And it's not really in him to get back to people during the week. And me, I work for myself, and it's like I have all the time. Every day is the same. You know what I mean? So it's like I want to talk during the week. It would be great. And this person just was too busy. Whatever. So I got to the point where I was just super frustrated with the whole thing. And I was just like, I'm done. I am done. I changed my phone number for many people, and I just cut off all the people that were just not serious, or the people that just wanted a booty call or whatever, right? I cut them all off. I was done. I just got so frustrated. And what I did was I started really loving myself. I know that sounds so cliche, but it's true. I started making myself feel good, making myself happy, doing the things that I wanted to do, buying myself things that I wanted, doing my nails, buying flowers, all that stuff, being happy. And when a particular person would message me to come over, or like I said, like a booty call, I said no. I started saying no to everything because they weren't serious and it wasn't what I wanted. And in fact, it was mediocre at best. You know what I mean? Like those relationships, those things that are just mediocre. Like the company isn't very good. You're just kind of like, I remember the last time I saw this one guy, he was a really great guy. They were all pretty much great, except unless they were total liars. But um, one guy in particular, really sincere guy. I could tell he's a good guy. He's a really good guy. He just had a few issues that just didn't coincide with how I wanted to live life. But there was one time, the last time I saw him, I remember I was sitting at his kitchen table and I was just staring at him because he was just talking just incessantly and showing me all this stuff. Like I said, he's a good guy, but I was sitting there like bored out of my freaking mind listening to him. And it was just everything about himself and his life and blah, 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 blah. And I looked at him and I just saw him in a totally different light. And I'm like, and I always thought he was a really good looking guy. And I sat there looking at him like, I don't even think you're good looking anymore. It was just such an epiphany of like, like all the aspects about the relationship, whatever you call it, was mediocre, was super mediocre. I was not excited about it anymore. I was like, the physical attraction was wearing off. The physical involvement that we had was just super boring at that point. It was just becoming, he really liked me, but I wasn't liking him anymore. And I just sat there like, I would rather be home right now than sitting here listening to him. And that was the last time I saw him. And I started saying no when he called me or messaged me to come over. I'm like, nah, I'm good. And when I started doing that, I felt an incredible sense of power that I never felt before. Because I'm like, no, I'd rather spend time by myself than spend time with guys that were boring or what do you call it? All into themselves and whatever. Like the list goes on. And so I just kept saying no to him and some other people and was like, I'm good. I'm so good being by myself. And I remember then it was Valentine's Day and, buying myself stuff and going through the ringer with my ex-husband for, the last time. It was just a time of like awakening of like this whole thing is a mess. This whole dating thing is a mess. So, and when I feel like I'm in a mess of something, I jump out. I'm like, I'm done. I'll just walk away. I'm really good with walking away from people and walking away from events and things. I've learned to just be super good with that. And what I do when I walk away, I get myself good again. And then see what happens. And then see what comes to me, what I attract. But I stop trying to make things good. When I'm in such a mess with something, I just walk away. And it's kind of like I'm just restarting, like a do-over. And I don't do anything unless I feel good. So, when I did that, I felt a sense of power and like I'm good by myself. I'm really good. For the first time in my life, I was really good by myself. And I didn't lower my standards anymore. So it only took maybe at most 2 months, at very most 2 months of really digging into being good by myself, letting go of all these other guys, cutting them all off, just not dealing with any of it anymore, loving myself, and then following a simple impulse to meet up with a friend, and the rest is history. and I attracted right in my husband. A really good guy who doesn't play games. He doesn't know what a game is. You know what I mean? Like, do you know a guy who is just so good that he doesn't know how to play games because his mind doesn't go there. He's like incapable of playing games. He's incapable of doing any of these things that, like, a lot of us come to almost expect. A lot of people do expect it. A lot of either gender, women or men, they tend to expect the games, the lies, the whatever, whatever. Pretty crazy stuff. And when you're in it, it's freaking crazy, but it's like, it's just the way it is. I remember playing that for years with my ex-husband, playing the stupid, it was, it was just the most insane time of my life, being in my previous relationship, the most insane time of my life. I was a pretty normal person and then got caught up in the stupid game of somebody who plays games. And then it's like, what the hell? Let me know if you've ever been in that, because it is like nothing makes sense. It's a narcissist thing. It's a narcissist game. So never got involved with a narcissist before and never will. So never will again. What a trip that is. That's a trip I never want to take again. So let's get back to stay in the vision of what you want. So in the vision, so I'm driving through the desert yesterday, and I'm my focus is, so this was actually my focus. My focus is past the car in front of me. Like, my focus is, there was a for a little while, my car, I have such a good car. It likes to go fast, and I just appreciate it so much. And I'm waiting for the moment to pass this person. Like I said, it's a 2-lane street road, and I'm looking past the car. I'm always looking past the cars in front of me. I'm looking ahead. I'm looking on the horizon. I'm looking a quarter mile ahead, whatever I can see ahead of me. I'm looking past the cars in front of me and looking in front of them. And eventually I'll pass them because my focus is beyond them. If my focus was on their bumper, that's where I would stay, right? Tell me if you can relate to that, because that's how it is with everything. When you focus on just the bumper in front of you, you stay behind that bumper. If you focus on, like, to put all your focus on your current job, your current relationship, your current situation, that's where you are going to stay. That you have to stay there. If you want to go further, you have to look beyond that bumper in front of you. You have to look beyond. You have to look at the vision. You have to focus on the vision of where you are going. I was going to Paradise Valley yesterday, not staying in the middle of the desert. I was focused on where I was going. And I made it there. And I made it back. It's like, that's how it works. Focus on where you're going. Where are you going? Are you going, like, if you're here, if you're an entrepreneur, where are you going? Where's your business going? Where do you want it to go? So keep your vision on that. Keep your vision on where you're going, where you want to go. I wanted to go to PV yesterday. I had been thinking about it all week. I hadn't been thinking about it, honestly. I had not been thinking about it. The thought came to me. I was receiving the thought to go, because I like taking trips to where I'm going, so I can be in the energy, so I can have more the feeling of it, so I can be in it. Like when I was going to California all the time, and I ended up going to California because I was in California. The more you're there, either in physical, like I prefer physical, the faster you'll get there. So I tell people all the time, if you're trying to move somewhere else, like outside of where you are, go visit as much as you can where you're going. Go there as much as you possibly can. Experience it. If it's the beach, go to the beach as much as you possibly can. Now, if it's another country, it can get a little, a bit much to keep going, but do as much as you possibly can. If you can't physically be there for, especially now, if you can't possibly be there physically, there's so many ways online to be there. Like, if we don't do it anymore, we should, but there's a lot of other things to do right now. We can always look up the beach camera at Pismo Beach. We're not moving to Pismo Beach this moment. We're moving to PV first. Once we get established in PV, we're going to buy a house in Pismo. That's the plan right now. And I'm hoping that it all comes together in 2021. That's kind of where I'm headed. So, but there's a beach camera. All the beaches in California have them, and some have multiples. You can check on the internet, look at the beach. It's like SurfCam. I think it's surfcam.com, somewhere in there, SurfCam. And you can watch the sunset every night. We did that way before we moved there. We watched it on our large screen TV in the living room, hooked it up from the computer, and we ate dinner watching the sunset like we always do when we're there. We watch, we have dinner at the beach. When he proposed to me on the beach, we had dinner. He had the whole picnic thing set up. He created a whole picnic basket. We still have it. It's in the garage. He created a picnic basket with real plates and real silverware and the whole 9 yards. Got the dinner all prepared. And we went to the beach. We had dinner at sunset. And then he proposed. So before we moved there, we would have dinner watching the sunset on the TV. I would sometimes, this morning while I was eating breakfast, I was watching YouTube, and I watched some sunrise over the ocean. I don't know where it was because it's not on the Pacific side because it's the sun rising. And I was listening to the ocean, and it was so loud. And I sat there eating my breakfast, and like all these memories flooded back from Pismo, because I just started laughing because it was such a comical thing. Something I really loved complaining about while living at the beach was how loud the ocean is. It's so loud, and it's not something I ever heard anyone talk about before. So if you want to live at the ocean, like say we're going to talk about California. If you want to live at the ocean, I was 3 houses from the ocean on the cliff overseeing Pismo Beach. And at night, we had most of the windows open because it's beautiful, right? At night, that ocean is insanely loud. Every night I would laugh like, wow. It's not something anybody has ever, I've never heard anybody talk about the ocean as loud when you live at the ocean. I can't even imagine what it's like if you're at, that ledge. Like our landlord has the house on the edge, on the cliff overlooking how loud that is. It's loud. It's really cool though, but it's really loud. Okay, guys. So stay in the vision of what you want. Focus on the aspects of what you love. Focus on the aspects of what you love. That is literally how you're going to manifest everything you really love. And it doesn't have to be like, okay, for a job, I want it to be like this, this, and this, and this. It's not like that. It's like whatever you love just in life, wherever you are, appreciate it. Like focus on the things that you love. So when I drive, I get in these moments where I love driving. It's one of my most favorite things to do. I love it. I love going fast. I went fast several times yesterday, passing people. It's so fun. I love that. There's so many things that I love, and anytime I come across them, I appreciate them so much more. And what do I get? I get more opportunities for those things. I get more things, attracting to me, or me attracting to them. When you focus on the aspects, when you focus on the kind of relationship you want, you focus on, when you hear me, if you're single and you want to have an amazing husband like I do, when you listen to me talk about my husband being amazing and all the things he does, appreciate that. Like, oh gosh, that's really cool. I love that. You know what I mean? Instead of some people might be like, God, I only meet men who cheat on me, or I only meet married men, or gosh, where do you find good guys like that? I don't know. That's probably the only one left, and or he's not even available. Like you know what I mean? Like check in with those thoughts that pop in when you hear that. Appreciate the things that you love to hear. Appreciate the things that you love when you hear that. And it's the same with like business. When you hear somebody succeeding in business, be like, oh, yes, I love that. I love that this person's just doing so well. I love that. That just gives me so much hope, at the very least, hope that that will happen for me too. Like, they're doing it, I can too. Instead of like, oh man, they're doing it, they must be smarter than me, and blah, 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 and all that garbage, right? So when you hear hear the things that you want in your life, really focus on the things that you love. Focus on those things with positivity and hopefulness, and like, yes, it's possible. It's possible. It's possible. It's possible to have a guy who doesn't know what a game is. It's possible to have a guy who's honest. It's possible to have a guy who just literally wants to do everything in his power to make you happy. Even though you tell them it's not their job to make you happy. I've told him that a million times. It's not his job to make me happy. It's my job to make me happy. When I'm happy, he's happy anyway, and he's a happy guy. So it's like, you know what I mean? But he loves it. I say one thing that I want to have done in the house, he pretty much will have it done by the next time I walk through the house. Like, he's that kind of guy. He takes mental notes of the things that I say. He sees things that I say that I like online. He bought me, goodness gracious, I think it was for my birthday. Earlier this year, he bought me nail polish, a specific 2 colors of nail polish that I saw on a nail polish YouTuber person who creates her own nail polish. And I was looking at all the things that she's created, and I pinpointed these 2 that I really liked. It was just in passing of like, yeah, oh wow, that's so pretty. Isn't that pretty? With no intention whatsoever of me buying it. Or for him, it wasn't a hint or anything for anything. I was appreciating something on the screen. It was really pretty, but I wasn't going to buy it. I just wasn't. I don't buy everything that I love. You know what I mean? I was appreciating it. And like a month later, it comes in the mail. He ordered it just based on me looking at some pictures or the video and saying, oh my God, that's so pretty. Oh my God, that's so pretty. That was it. And he bought it for me. I was in shock. He's on her newsletter, and he was telling me a couple days ago of like her new launch. And I'm like, are you, it was so funny. Cause I'm like, I don't even I follow her on Instagram and YouTube, but not terribly close. And I'm not on her newsletter, her email list. It was so funny. I'm like, yeah, I don't follow her as much as you do. He's like, I just get her emails. That's it. I just know. I'm in the know. I'm like, you're silly. But you can there's men out there like that. Probably not a whole lot, I would have to say. I don't know anybody like him. So yeah, we call each other a unicorn, honestly. So, but not everybody wants somebody like that. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know I wanted somebody like that, and I think it's pretty cool. But you have your things that you love and that you want in a person. And there are some good people out there. There's some good men out there that want to be that person, who wants to be that helpful person, who wants to do special things for you because they really, really love you. So they're out there. Okay, guys, I'm going to get going. I got probably 15 other things to do today. I'm trying to prioritize, and have an amazing rest of your day. I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.